Today, the CDC is taking guidelines from the teachers' unions. Shouldn't that be the other way around? Also, Washington, D.C. bans dancing at weddings. Shame on you people for dancing. You could be spreading a deadly disease. We've got a lot coming up, and it starts right now. Hey, happy Monday. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by the dynamic duo. We get so many comments about how much people love these guys together. We've got BlazeTV contributor Eric July here, and then Yaku Bouillons, host of the Yaku Bouillons show.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here.
I like Memphis, baby, all day long. Come on.
That's some second hometown, baby. Yeah.
Someone the other day commented and said, we need to do a show together.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Like
He did.
Everyone
was
loves
waiting
you
for
guys.
I
You're
was
just
waiting
so
for
different.
a text from him going, hey, bro, what you thinking? I kind of typed mine and I didn't send it. It's like, he doesn't feel the same way.
No. Rejected. Yaku was rejected. All right. So headlines of the day. This is a really interesting story for those of you who have been paying attention, of course, to the way that the teachers union has been fitting into the pandemic. And, you know, first they said, well, we need to shut down because we have to keep the children safe. It's all about the children, you guys. And then as more data came out and showed that children were not susceptible to the virus, then it was, well, we have to keep the teachers safe. Well, wait, they can't go back to school until they get vaccinated. Well, and they just kept pushing the ball forward. And now newly obtained emails show that AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, this is the second largest teachers union in the United States, actually lobbied the CDC from recommending earlier this year that schools could fully reopen in a safe manner. So, by the way, AFT donated nearly $20 million to Democrats during the 2020 election. But, you know, the CDC director would have you know that this was, the guidance was free from political meddling. Okay, just know that. I mean, the CDC director said it, so it must be true. Now, the emails show a bunch of activity between CDC director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, her top advisors, and union officials, with Biden admin being looped in at the White House in the days before the February 12th announcement on school reopening guidelines. And AFT senior director sent an email, said thank you again for Friday's rich discussion. They gave their recommendations, and then in an email 2 days later, the CDC thanked Walensky for her commitment to partnership and genuine desire to earn our confidence. And then, of course, when CDC finally released its guidance for schools on February 12th, they included two suggestions from the American Federation of Teachers, like almost verbatim.
Yes, using the same exact rhetoric, if you actually read it. So what it does, it goes to show that
it's just a coincidence.
Yeah,
Eric.
Yeah, of course.
It's just a coincidence.
Of course, every time. Had nothing to do with
Great
science.
minds think alike.
Yes. But this had nothing to do with science, as you can see.
No, none of it.
Which, like you alluded to at the beginning of the show, is that you think that it would be the other way around. Yeah. Because if these are these experts, they're the ones supposed to give the guidelines. Well, the teacher's input should be completely irrelevant to that, because what they feel doesn't mean that it is of the actual scientific expertise. So what you found out is what a lot of folks had kind of alluded to, you couldn't really prove it, is that there was some sort of working together by way of the teachers unions when you saw in spots and pockets around definitely the country, and how these definitely would, like Chicago, for example, they had it maybe the worst, where you had these teachers, they were like, we ain't working at all. Like, forget that. We're just simply not going to do it. Like,
can you imagine in any other industry, people just
you'd
go
be out of a job?
Yeah, I mean, like the people who had to actually stay open this entire time before we knew what anything was, they could have been exposed to something that had, you know, 90% death rate. Yeah. People working at Walmart, if they said, I'm not showing up, right?
The expendables.
But if they said, hey, I'm not showing up, I'm just not going to show up and do my job, what would happen?
When you're playing with money that ain't yours, I mean, I get what it does is it points to the actual rotten core of how we deal with kind of education in this system. And I'm glad that you brought up the fact that this is a union that has obviously ties to generally Democrat, like direct ties, like not like loose or this isn't like we can talk the coincidence as far as the rhetoric. That's bull crap. But as far as their donation to candidates, that's not a relatively new thing. That's something that teachers unions have been notorious for doing. So when you look at that, how can you think that, and I know what you're saying, but how can you think there's absolutely no political influence that's involved in? Of course, anytime the teachers unions are involved, there's almost guaranteed to be some sort of politics that are involved. That's why you were lobbying with the CDC to get, your thoughts considered in this whole ordeal. It just goes to show that, yes, it is politically motivated, but the rotten core of the education system shows how much they can get away with stuff like that because they're not playing with their own money. Like Sarah said, any other industry, if we decide I'm not showing up, your boss says, I bet. You're not getting paid either.
Yeah, exactly.
Teachers, it's like the complete opposite. These fools can stay at home 3 months, and it's like, what are you going to do? It's because, again, the money is not following the students, it's following the institutions.
That's right.
We know that.
That's right. And to Eric's point, you would think how it would work is, hey, parental input would be considered. If you're going to consider something, if you are the CDC and you talk about, hey, the child, isn't that the most important individual in this circle is the child? Truly. No, forget about the parent, what they know best for their child. Forget about the child, the teacher. That's union to politicians, right? And nothing to see here. It's just $20 million. Come on, that really does not affect our opinion. Come on, we are very, we're objective.
Yeah,
we're able to be objective.
For
here,
$20 million,
right?
I'll be as objective as you want me to be. Totally objective.
Right. Exactly, right. But doesn't that follow the trend, though, in any industry with any union, with the government on the left? They pay, they get favor.
Yeah.
And it's under the table, behind, and sometimes it's just blatantly in the open, right? If you look at like a Biden and a Hunter Biden situation. So we should expect this. I'm telling you, the same is happening in healthcare. The same is happening whenever a union in this country gets involved, all of them, from whether it's the Screen Actors Guild all the way down to Teachers Union, there's money exchanged, and then all of a sudden they just align.
Yeah,
the rhetoric just happens to be that we think the same. Dang it, I didn't know we thought the same way.
That is so crazy how that all shakes out.
Come on.
So just to this point, it's interesting because we have seen, I don't want to say a total shift, but we have seen more of the mainstream media ask these tougher questions the longer the vaccine has been available. We saw Savannah Guthrie last week asking questions about, which, by the way, really, really crappy mom move by Savannah Guthrie to ask Dr. Fauci. She said, well, when my daughter comes off the bus, she walks off the bus, and when we walk home, she has to wear a mask, but I don't. So I'm like, what do? You're not wearing a mask in front of your daughter, and you're telling your daughter she has to wear a mask. That's pretty crappy of you. But she's asking Dr. Fauci, she's pushing Dr. Fauci on these questions that they, previously have not really pushed these experts before. Same thing on CNN. Jake Tapper was asking Anita Dunn, senior advisor to the president, about the CDC guidance about reopening schools. And here is what she specifically had to say when he was asking whether or not schools would be open in the fall. Watch.
If the vaccination program in this country proceeds, if people do go get their vaccines, he does believe that schools should be able to reopen in September and reopen safely following the CDC guidelines. But he said probably, did not say absolutely, because we've all seen this since, unfortunately, January of 2020. It's an unpredictable virus. It is a virus that has, it mutates. So we can't look in a crystal ball and say what September looks like, but we do believe that if people, go get their vaccine, they have doubts about it, they should ask their doctor. They should ask people who've already gotten it. They should certainly do their own research. But if people get their vaccine,
that was the last thing she mentioned. Do that after the fact.
Throw it in there. This is a disclaimer, liability clause.
If people go get their vaccines, who? What people? Teachers, students? We don't know. By the way, the vaccines are not. It's 16 and up to even be eligible for the vaccine. If you want to take that risk. That's your personal decision. But it's just like we keep moving the ball. We keep moving the goalposts. All of a sudden now, well, he didn't say they will be open for sure.
Yeah.
He said
Don't wanna
probably
commit.
if you guys do what we tell you that we're going to do, we will let you out from under our thumb.
We still don't have a number, though. There's still no objective thing that we are looking for. And every time he has been asked, Fauci, he dances around it. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Mr. Jim Jordan. No, you know exactly what he said. What exactly are we looking for? When you talk about returning to some sort of normalcy, what is the objective thing? And they have no idea. It's just, well, we need more people to get. How many more?
Well, they can't.
What's the percentage? Like they don't know. It's just they just rattle it off, and we're expected to, like sheep, and unfortunately, many of the branch COVIDians, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Where they're lining up and falling over themselves to try to get it. And the reason why they're coming out and saying what they're saying right now is because you're seeing, and they dub a new term, they got a firmware update all the NPCs, they call it vaccine hesitancy.
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
Yes.
Right? Because for the people that, again, the branch COVIDians fell over each other to try to get it, and now the stragglers and everybody that's like, no, I'm not hesitant on anything.
I'm
the answer's
vaccine
no.
defiant.
I'm just not doing it.
I'm the defiant.
Yeah, it's like it's not happening.
I'm just in the control group.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how it plays out. We have to obviously have guys like myself that don't get it,
Sure.
so we can
I
know
like that.
exactly how it plays
Gotta
out.
be an
of course.
offset here.
It's the
Yeah.
science, right?
Yeah.
The science says that we have to.
You're
do it that
welcome.
way.
I'll volunteer to take one.
Yeah,
for the
she's
team
in the
on that.
control group. No, listen, I'll say they can't plant that flag. They can't put a marker there because what if you meet the marker? What if you? Okay, so we just open? No.
Yeah.
We can't lose control.
Yeah.
Come on now, you got to give us the flexibility to string you along here. I mean, you can't expect of us to actually give you your life back, right? But here's my question. I'm not seeing kids dying in Dallas. Schools are open. No masks. I'm not seeing kids dying in Dallas, dying in Florida. I'm not seeing the kids dying. I mean,
Well, it's not about the children.
So why are we keeping school? But schools may open in September. Maybe it may open in 2025. We don't know. I mean, we got to go through the next election at least.
We have to see if we can use this as leverage somehow on the American people, and then we'll let you know.
How are we going to
whether or not
control
the
your
schools will
vote?
open.
Do you have another option for us? How can we control your vote? Tell us.
Right,
We burn
right.
another city down.
And by the way, your tax dollars we will still take.
Yeah.
You don't get to put a
Oh,
pause
an
on your
increase.
tax
Increase.
dollars. Right.
No,
right.
increase the tax dollar because somebody's got to. Oh, and can we just please for a second just mention at least that hey, people are getting sick from these vaccines. And I would argue people are dying from these vaccines. That's me. I mean, we got a friend 2 weeks ago just passed away for nothing, no medical records. Just happens to be 2 days after a vaccine. So at least do some of your research. Or go do some research, right? I mean, let's really just. So yeah. Think for yourself. Control group, defiant.
Yeah. So Jake Tapper did not stop there. He also talked to Anita Dunn about Joe Biden, God bless him, about why he is wearing a face mask outdoors after the CDC specifically said, hey, if you've been vaccinated, you don't need to do that anymore. Here's what she had to say.
Despite new CDC guidelines saying that fully vaccinated people, like the president, generally do not need to wear masks outdoors, or even if they're indoors with small groups of people who are also vaccinated. But President Biden doesn't seem to be following that. He got his shot months ago. He still wears a mask walking outside in public appearances. He still wears a mask indoors with people who are also vaccinated. Former Baltimore Health Commissioner Dr. Lena Wen warns that could actually discourage people from getting vaccinated. Quote, at best, she says, it makes public health measures seem performative rather than science-based. At worst,
Like
it
theater.
calls vaccine efficacy into question. Should the president start following these guidelines and stop wearing a mask outdoors, stop wearing a mask indoors when with small groups of other vaccinated Americans to show the American people there's a benefit to getting the vaccine? You can take the mask off.
Jake, it's interesting that you raise this. I myself found that I was still wearing my mask outdoors this week because it has become such a matter of habit. I think the president takes the CDC guidelines very seriously, and he's always taken his role as sending a signal to follow the science very seriously as well. We do take some extra precautions for him because he is the president of the United States. But I would say that people should follow the CDC guidelines, and they should take advantage of getting the vaccine, getting fully vaccinated, and taking that mask off.
What?
Yeah.
You heard it, though, right there from her. He's sending a signal.
Of course.
Theater.
That's what it is
It always,
at the end of the
it's
day.
been about theater really this entire
emotional
time.
From
It's been
March 20.
since March. It's been about like how does this look? And certainly they've been able to have control elements and aspects to this where they can control the populace based on what it is that they're saying. So that in itself tells you if even it conflicts with their own guys where they say, okay, well, what are we going to like? The CDC says this. Well, I'm going to do opposite of what we're telling the CDC to tell you. That in itself is telling me that you really don't care about any of that. This is just a visual theater for you. And if it's about that, I wish they would be upfront, but I guess they don't have to. I mean, I guess that is saying kind of when you say signal, that's saying the quiet part out loud, really, because that's all that it's ever been. It's theater. It's not about science or anything like that. It's that this is something that we have convinced you to do. And you did it. You all did it. You all did it. And we want you to continue to do it. And despite what the science says, a reminder, science isn't actual science. It's just what they say. Even if they're, I don't know, a year and 2 months late to the actual fact, like they are on herd immunity.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Flattening the curve. But the science this time comes out and says, hey, outside, no mask. So now he's defying the science, right? Now he's defying the science, air quotes, right?
Yeah.
He's defying his people's science. And I love what you said. What they tell the CDC to say.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
They go against, and so no, it is theater, but don't for a second think it's not by design or he's, look, he's got memory loss. We know that. He doesn't know where the mask is. He probably doesn't know it's on. I've thought maybe he's a Ninja Turtle. I don't know, But it is by design. It is by design to say, hey, we know, even the CDC is telling you right now, maybe loosening up a little bit, we just kind of need you to be sheep a little longer, right? And so there's a reason. But it's a laughing stock. If you look at the rest of the world leaders, they laugh at him, they go, you're out of your mind. You've lost your mind completely. So
I mean, if there was anyone who could not afford to lose any more oxygen, it is Joe Biden.
It would be him.
He is already it feels like on his last leg. He doesn't need to be breathing any carbon dioxide. He needs all of the oxygen he can manage. All right, we have got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Home Title Lock. So if you have not yet heard of home title theft, it is where cyber thieves remove you from your home's title and then they mark themselves as the owner. Okay, so you got to get Home Title Lock because if this has not happened to you yet, it can. And if it happens to you and you don't have Home Title Lock, it's too late for you. The damage is already done. By the way, there was a big breach on Facebook. Facebook had 500 million accounts exposed to cyber thieves. Yeah, I said 500 million accounts, okay? According to a retired FBI cybercrime expert, everything thieves need to take over as a new owner of your home was leaked in that breach. So that's why I keep telling you people about home title theft. It is that easy. They can take something that happens at Facebook, like a personal data breach, they can apply it to your home's title, which is kept online. They'll forge your signature on a quitclaim deed stating you sold your home. You're going to be in debt. They could have you evicted. You got to protect your home's title with Home Title Lock. You can go to HometitleLock.com, register your address to see if you have already been a victim. Then you can sign up for 30 free days of protection during this high-risk breach. You can also go to, HometitleLock.com. It's Monday, people. Use promo code RADIO. It is HometitleLock.com, promo code RADIO. All right, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has, you know what? Finally, someone is doing it. She has finally stood up and said, enough. I am banning dancing at wedding receptions because of the spread of COVID-19. So she just issued this order last week, along with new masking policies. And by the way, this is not just indoor dancing, but also outdoor dancing. And by the way, it also bans people from standing at a
Wait, what?
No,
I'm supposed to get in.
It's the elevator there. You crawl in. You crawl in.
Oh, okay.
You duck.
What about, I wonder if I can be
COVID hovers around 6 feet.
It just says,
about the,
it says
Professor X kind of thing? Can I slide in on a wheelchair? Or can that?
Attendees and guests must remain seated and socially distanced from each other or other household groups. If these events include dining facilities and venues shall adhere to the rules established for restaurants. Standing and dancing receptions are not allowed do not have any fun when you get married. You should be completely miserable, just like you will be for the rest of your life when you finally marry.
But that's probably the point. She probably had a horrific wedding. This is payback. She probably can't dance or had a bad dance or fell in her first dance.
I mean,
this feels like it's March 2020, like we're going to do.
That's what's so bizarre. It's
like
over a year into this pandemic, we're just now banning dancing outside
friends
and inside.
of mine, last week I was at a wedding here in Dallas, in the Grapevine area. Friends of mine live literally in Studio City, California. They came and got married in here, and they literally spoke about how freeing it is, and they could see each other. In like the groomsman's speech, they said, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm speaking without a mask on.
Everyone from California says the same thing.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine you weirdos out there living like that, man. And I say this as a guy that's getting married in 2 months. It's like, what in the world is like, I don't know how you'd enforce it. But I just don't imagine how you could be in D.C. and like not just be defined as possible in the event that that's what you had. Like, why would I listen to definitely someone named Bowser? Come on, like that's a villain, like Mario. For those of you that don't know who it is, why would you listen to her or rather anybody for that matter, to do anything? Like, basically, she's telling you, like you mentioned, to be miserable at your own friggin' wedding. Don't do anything. Don't dance. Don't stay. And it doesn't make sense for the context of it sounds like March 2020, and we're a year and some change after the fact. And this is what she wants you to do. Look, man, y'all need civil disobedience out there. Tell her to go do something to herself. That's what you need to do.
It will not stop until they do that.
Well, you say how are you going to enforce it? They don't have to. People are going to follow because they said so, right? Because they said so. That's the disturbing part about all this.
President Joe Biden's administration is apparently considering working with private firms to monitor, quote, extremist chatter by Americans online because, of course, now
I gotta be on the top of that list.
You are on the list.
Guaranteed.
Now now they apparently are considering working with private firms because, of course, the federal government is limited legally to what they can do without a warrant. So they're like, I know this isn't allowed constitutionally, legally. Let's find a loophole. Maybe we can just use private firms to conduct warrantless surveillance.
Guys, I know that there are stupid people that think people that have R's next to their name that are considered on the right doing bad things and particularly orange. That's what fascism means. What that literally is fascism. Not necessarily in what they're enforcing, but what you're having is the merge of corporate and state. Read the doctrine of fascism. Don't take my word for it. Just go read it. That's exactly the direction that we are moving in with a policy as such. But it's hilarious that these Democrats, it seems like clockwork when it comes to the surveillance state, in which they want to not only snoop on, but just criminalize really people that in the event are against them. That's all that means. This extreme. I mean, are you stupid enough to think that they would be so efficient to where it's actual, extremists, whatever that is, that they're going to try to either criminalize or snuff out? No, it's going to be people that are going to, just like with a watch list, or rather no fly list, that end up on it that have nothing to do with anything. You might have just posted something that was disrespectful to the president. Oh my God, that guy right there, we got to make sure we keep tabs on what it is he's saying. Like I said, I have to be at the top of that list.
No, you are on the list, but it's anybody outside of the line of their thinking, right? We're coming for you to silence, because how dare you? You talk about radical and crazy people in this country. No, those are their people.
Oh, of course.
Those people they
support.
Radicalized
people are all
those people they give MSN coverage to. They support them. I mean, they know this is but you're on the list. But we're probably all on the list.
I certainly don't think it's a coincidence that they keep bringing up. They use language. They use their messaging. They try to change the language, to push all of their agenda. I don't think it's a coincidence that they continue using the terms white supremacy. White supremacy is a huge problem. And then so now all of a sudden they're going to conflate. They're going to conflate white supremacy with being conservative. And then all of a sudden, if you're conservative, you're considered an extremist.
This book has already been written, man. This is exactly right out of this sort of concept of if you can control the language and you can control the rhetoric effectively, you can control everybody else.
Yep.
So what it is that they do is it doesn't start with like they make you kind of desensitized to these terms, right? So white supremacy, it doesn't mean anything. All you know is that most people would see it as a bad thing.
Yes.
So what they've attempted to do is to lump everybody and each and everybody in that list that they dislike. So either you are a white supremacist or you're like a white supremacist sympathizer is one of those terms. Some sort of connection to them that they basically lump everybody that's to the opposite of them. And it's funny because so many people said this about the January 6th thing, which was not a siege or coup. I mean, a bunch of unarmed people kicking their feet up out there. That's not what that was. But a lot of people predicted this, that they were going to use that instance. They were going to dramatize it, and then they were going to try to encroach on the freedoms of everybody else.
But that's the playbook. That's how you would do it.
Yep.
You know, you go back. This is Stalin.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Stalin, Mao, Hitler.
Exactly.
All these guys played from the same playbook. This is not new. They just tapped into the source of evil. They just go, how do you do this? This is how you do it. And it's check, and this is how they run it down. And it is a generalization so that they can lump a ton of people in and repeat it over. And then all of a sudden you start adding things to it.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you are, even if you're a Tim Scott, who's as black as can be, and all of a sudden you have some common sense to you, like, oh, you're a sympathizer. Yep. You might as well have been a white supremacist. And I'm like, have you looked at me lately? You know, and but this is how they do it. And then all of a sudden then shame comes in and now they just silence people. And then they mail like
we
sheep.
know what comes next.
Yeah, you guys kept talking about fascism. Now you've got it. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, StartMail. So, you think if you have a Gmail or Yahoo account that those are free email services, but they're not really free. You are paying with your privacy. And since those companies, they have access to every email that you send and receive, big tech can sell your data to the highest bidder. That is why I trust StartMail to secure my email. Now, StartMail keeps your email private, like it's private. Done, period. Every email is encrypted, even if the recipient does not use encryption or StartMail, which means big tech cannot go through your personal information ever, all right? Not even Big Brother can snoop around in your email. StartMail also prevents government agencies from spying on you, which is kind of big right now. We were just talking about government agencies freaking spying on you, okay? So this is not outside the realm of possibilities. StartMail, with StartMail, deleted means deleted. If you delete an email, it is gone forever. And StartMail uses their own servers, not Amazon's, so they can't just be yanked out of business like what happened to Parler. StartMail is also backed by the most stringent privacy laws in the world. You get unlimited anonymous aliases. This feature protects your main email address from spam, from phishing attacks, so you can give an email out to a company with an alias and protect your identity so that they can't sell your information. This is huge, you guys. You have to try StartMail. You shouldn't trust big tech. We've given you plenty of reasons here on this show not to. All right, start securing your email privacy with StartMail. Sign up today and you will get 50% off of your first year if you go to startmail.com/Y. That is StartMail, START, mail.com/WHY for 50% off your first year. We've been having the ongoing conversation about how woke all of the government agencies are, the intelligence agencies, the FBI, the CIA. Well, the CIA just wants you to know exactly how woke they are. They just released a recruitment video encouraging Americans to command your space. And here is what they decided to include in their video. Watch.
I am a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial who's been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. I am intersectional, but my existence is not a box-checking exercise. I am a walking declaration.
Yes, it is.
A woman whose
You made it
inflection
that
does
way.
not rise at the end of her sentences, suggesting that a question has been asked. I did not sneak into CIA. My employment was not and is not the result of a fluke or slip through the cracks.
No one said it was.
I earned my way in, and I earned my way up the ranks of this organization. I am educated, qualified, and competent, and sometimes I struggle. I struggle feeling like I could do more, be more to my two sons, and I struggle leaving the office when I feel there's so much more to do. I used to struggle with imposter syndrome, but at
over.
36, I refuse to internalize misguided patriarchal ideas of what a woman can or
There's a lot of
should
buzz
be.
terms. This is impressive. I
am
will say that
tired
if
of
nothing
feeling
else.
like I'm supposed to apologize for the space I occupy rather than intoxicate people with my effort, my brilliance. I am proud of me. Full stop. My parents left everything they knew and loved to expose me to opportunities they never had.
And look what you've done with it.
Because of them, I stand here today a proud first-generation Latina and officer at CIA. I am unapologetically me. I want you to be unapologetically you,
Unless you're
whoever
white.
you are.
Asterisk.
Know your worth. Command your space. Mija, you're worth it.
Wow. That was beautiful.
That's always hilarious, man. When I hear, I don't know if you guys have seen the memes, mostly led by like libertarians, where they'll show like Republicans and they'll have like when they're talking about bombing other countries, and they'll have a plane, it'll just be a regular plane. And then when they get in office, Democrats, it'll have like all of the Black Lives Matters doing the same thing, still dropping bombs, and as if, definitely with the CIA, I consider them very evil people. I have no problem considering that. I really don't care who the president is. It doesn't make it any better trotting out some person of color that's a woman who has a lot of issues with accepting herself. Otherwise, why in the world is she trying to convince me for? That was a very bizarre thing, but it doesn't make what they do any better considering what's going on. But when we talk about these government agencies, they just go hand in hand with pretty much, it's par for the course, everything else that we're seeing. Where you see all these woke folk that are just getting in these positions, they've been there really in these positions of power, and they want everybody to let it be known. I don't know who they're trying to convince, but maybe it's themselves, maybe it's the people that already like them, but it doesn't make your organization, your group or whatever it is better simply because you're trotting out some person like, look at me, I'm a person that identifies this way. Okay, congratulations, you still suck.
Maybe this is. Yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead. No,
please. I was raised to let you go first.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, she said, I am all of these things and checked a bunch of boxes.
You wouldn't be happy about what you just did, by the way. That's patriarchal.
Yeah, that is patriarchal.
I don't give a little rip.
Chivalry is not dead.
I care about what my mother thinks, not the CIA.
She said, I am all these things and checked off all these boxes, and then said, I am not just checking off boxes.
Compartmentalized.
You literally just did that. We didn't do it. You did.
Look, this is a very concerning PSA, and I'll say why. If this is a recruitment video for the CIA, okay, I want to see what that psych eval looks like to get into the CIA, because that is a broken girl, very hurt to the point where she yells at the world, do you see me? Do you see I'm oppressed? Do you see my struggles? Do you see my effort? And I work hard, So if that is the level of their psych eval of who gets into the CIA, we're in some serious trouble. Okay. What do you think Putin's informants are going to do to that kind of an individual on the battlefield? And by the way, the Central Intelligence Agency is foreign. It's foreign. So and I know some of the psych evals these guys go through. That's their recruitment video. You juxtapose that with Army, live strong, and you can do this and all these strong attributes of make an impact to society. And this is a please see me moment.
Was it the Army? Who was it that got in that Twitter battle with Tucker Carlson recently?
I think. I don't know which branch.
It was some military branch that it's like even they have this wokeness factor creeping in.
Absolutely.
But how concerning is it that when you use your protective agencies to do PSAs for political spin? I mean, this is the CIA being used to push a political narrative, right? Yeah. That's nuts to me. It's one thing if it's PBS. Yeah. Okay, this is the CIA.
I'm sorry, but if someone the best thing that they can say about themselves is I am a cisgender millennial, right, and also when it comes time to actually do their jobs and the times get tough, I don't trust you to get any of that
exactly
done.
Because they're not being brought on by way of any sort of merit, and that's why I say this doesn't apply obviously to government agencies that I want to abolish. This applies to basically anything. If you're leading with that, if you're leading with that, you are already telling me
You're insecure.
Exactly. That's exactly what you're telling me. You're insecure because people that are proud of what it is that they do, that did get out there and be great and they accomplished that, that's what they point to instead of what you're talking about is some stuff that you had no control over. You were born and then look at me. Okay, congratulations.
Pity party.
Yes, exactly. Congratulations.
So,
you are a person of color that saw some success. Like, what you sitting over yelling at me for? Like, I could see you, but that's not good enough for them. That's why it's a projection. They feel some sort of insecurity, and maybe it was one of the indoctrination camps that got her thinking like that. But this is the mindset of a lot of these folks in which they have some deep internal issues, man. They have psychological issues that are wrong with them. Hell, half the time they'll put it in their Twitter bio and let you know exactly that they messed up. Unfortunately, now they got positions of power. Definitely when you're dealing with foreign governments.
This
could be bad.
No, but this is now the top recruiting class for our foreign intelligence. Right?
It's horrifying.
This is bad.
Horrifying. This is
Okay.
scary. We're that meme where we're sitting and the fire's behind us and we're like, this is
fine.
fine.
Yeah, right.
This is totally fine, guys. Nothing to see here. We're totally fine.
Peaceful
All right.
protest. Armageddon.
All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Taser. So I don't know about you, but protecting my family safely is my #1 priority, and Taser is how you can do that. Taser's line of non-lethal self-protection devices are small and lightweight enough to carry with you in your glove compartment, in your purse, and they are powerful enough to incapacitate an attacker. Taser products, they're very safe, they're easy to use. They use an electrical charge to immobilize attackers for up to 30 seconds. So you do it, it allows you time to escape. You can send emergency dispatch to your GPS location as well. This is essential for those of you who are living in all these gun-free areas. They try to do all that they can to prevent you from being able to protect yourself with the Second Amendment. You gotta listen up, all right? More than 237,000 lives have been saved with the Taser network of devices. Start protecting yourself and your family with Taser today. Taser is available without a permit in most U.S. states. So again, those of you who you're gonna need a permit and the state makes it so difficult for you, listen up. This Mother's Day gift mom safety with 20% off the Pulse Plus bundle. This includes Taser Pulse Plus device, cartridges, and holster at taser.com. You can never have too many ways to protect yourself. Save 20% right now by using the code WHY. It is taser.com, TASER.com. Caitlyn Jenner. You may know Caitlyn Jenner as Bruce Jenner, whichever way you would prefer to refer to the Jenner who is running for, I'm trying really hard not to use pronouns here. I always try to, I do a little competition with myself to see if I can do it without pissing one side off, because depending, whichever pronoun you use, you're gonna make someone mad. So I'm trying really hard not to. So this is, of course, the Jenner that announced last week that they will be running as a Republican in the special election to recall Gavin Newsom, which is just delicious, I have to say. A transgender woman running as a Republican in this special election in California, of all places. You know, we were talking last segment about everyone being so woke, in the wokest of all places. But, unshockingly, I should say, and Eric, I have a feeling you might be able to relate a little bit that as much as the left tries to proclaim that they are all about, Black Lives Matter and we have to take care of Black people and we're their shepherds and all of this. If you don't align with their political ideologies, all of a sudden you are cast out. And that is exactly what is happening to Caitlyn Jenner, because Caitlyn Jenner actually said the controversial statement that women's sports must be protected from transgender athletes.
It's almost like that person was an expert on that because they were like an athlete or
like an Olympic medalist.
An Olympic
if I'm not mistaken.
champion, also a transgender woman. Don't think you could get any more personalized expertise than
someone's
that.
gonna know, that person's going to know.
Be Caitlyn Jenner. And so now Caitlyn Jenner is a traitor. There are a bunch of
course, because they wanted Caitlyn to be their poster child for their argument, right? But there's a silver lining here for me, though. I feel like Bruce is still in there.
Just knocking, waiting to come out.
Bruce is still in there. He's like, hey, whoa, no. Athletes, you got to separate this. I remember when I ran, and there's no way no woman could compete with me at the time, although now he's a woman, right? But there's no one that could compete with me at the time. That's just common sense. But it doesn't quite work because traitor, right?
Yeah, well, so Jenner says this is a question of fairness. That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girls' sports in school. It just isn't fair, and we have to protect girls' sports in our schools.
Like, that obviously is a factual statement in terms of it isn't fair. And like him, well, I didn't go all the way to the Olympic level, but I was a track and field athlete through the collegiate level. And yeah, it's simply not fair. Like we declared, I now have the women's, because I changed my gender the other day, and before I changed it back, because it is, it's not binary.
You can do that.
It's fluid. That's called gender fluid.
Fluid. That's correct. That's very, very correct. Fluid. So I can get to change it whenever I want to, and then I have effectively shattered Flojo's record, in the 100 meter, because I beat it. I ran faster than that. Look, it's not fair. And I wasn't anywhere near the fastest boy. I was fast, but I wasn't the fastest man. It goes to show that there are biological differences between men. The fact that I'm even saying this on the show is a bizarre thing, but there are differences, and it comes with its sense of advantage.
I
know,
sexist.
I know, and this is
phobic, transphobic.
All of it.
One of the
all of it. Just put it all in the cup.
Yeah, I'm all of it.
We'll drink it.
It just goes to show how nutty. Like, we're in this kind of warped reality, twilight zone, where something like that should be just a basic thing, and you can't deny it because this man has. When I messed that up very bad. This woman, Caitlyn Jenner, that was a man, as Bruce Jenner, competed at the highest of the highest level.
Yep.
That person is for sure going to know if there are those advantages that exist. So it's a credible person on this topic. You can't deny that. No matter how mad it makes you, and you call a traitor and all that sort of thing, that's just the reality of the situation. Men, or biological men, are going to be at a severe advantage competing with women in sports. That only sounds controversial because the people around us are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, but you'd have to go to real science here, Eric, and you'd have to actually look at muscle density and fast twitch fiber and the length of tendons and the actual anatomy of the two individuals, right?
That's way too detailed.
And
for
see,
them.
you just can't go that deep with these people because the two brain cells that they have, one has fallen off of the floating device in the brain fluid, and the other one is just surviving,
hanging on for dear
behind
life.
a mask. So it's just you're just taxing the system. It's a glitch. They just can't. And then they see Caitlyn, and they go, "That's our champion," and Caitlyn goes, "You're wrong. Women will die, be destroyed, and will become obsolete." And this is actually going against empowering women, actually going against giving women a platform and a place.
Because all it does is men effectively go take it over.
Right.
Exactly.
And
if you're worried about the patriarchy, maybe you should be worried about that as well. It's so crazy to see.
So we stand with Caitlyn right now. Yes, Caitlyn.
Right.
Let that voice ring. I don't know so much about the gubernatorial race, though. That is a bizarre cocktail. Okay,
yeah,
that is.
Well, I mean, Caitlyn's come out and said, lower taxes. Obviously, Gavin Newsom has handled COVID-19 horribly, which is, why he's
Gavin's got to go
so
to an island.
We'll see. Yeah,
I
just love to watch it all with my popcorn. Here from Texas, which is not California. All right, we got to take a break. Back in a minute.
Oh, California, man.
So, but she's running as a Republican.
Yeah. Hey, if you are watching this, hey, you know what? Even if you're listening to this, wherever you are watching or listening to this, if you have not yet gone to wherever you get your audio podcasts, I feel like a broken record, but it must be said because I know that there are a bunch of you out there who still have yet to go to the News and Why It Matters wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review the show. Obviously, we deserve no less than 5 stars, so give us the 5 stars. Put a nice little review on there, and you may see your review read live on air, like this one today from NAS 912. Loyal viewer, 5 stars, love this show and watch it every night while making dinner. I'm a longtime Blaze subscriber and feel no need to turn on the mainstream media. Perfect balance of news and humor. I would name my favorites, but love you all. That's what we're here for, so you don't have to turn on the mainstream media because we feel like you want to keep your hair and not pull it out. We feel like for those of you who have high blood pressure, we want you to stay with us, okay? We don't want you to have a coronary event, which is what might happen if you do watch the mainstream media. So we're really basically here to save your life and your hair. I mean, you're welcome. Okay, I don't mean to toot our horn here, but you're welcome for saving your life. Don't forget, if you are not yet a Blaze TV subscriber, you can go to blazetv.com, use promo code NEWS, and you will get $10 off when you sign up for a year. Also, make sure to check out Young Ripa 59 on YouTube and Yaku Booyans, the Yaku Booyans Show. Subscribe to both of them.